Well, hi, everybody. I got some important stuff to talk about here, and it's something that recently happened to me and my family, and I want you to be vigilant and be prepared in case something like this happens to you. That's why I'm telling you our story here. So my wife gets a new car a while back, and we've been driving it for a while, never had any issues with it. And on January the 4th, she goes to pick her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend up from the airport. Once they leave the airport, they go to a restaurant to eat lunch, and then they come home. And after my wife gets home, she gets a notification on her phone that an Apple Airtag had been tracking her. Well, my wife has an Android, so it didn't make much sense. So she just kind of brushed it off and said, that's probably nothing, probably just some type of scammer or some type of some spam or something like that. Well, a few days later, on January the 7th, her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend took that same car to the movie. When they got back, she then got the notification on her iPhone. And that's what it looks like there. AirTag found near you, and as you can also see there, you can also play the sound, and you can see where the AirTag had been tracking her. And you can see the tracks there, taking her into the city and taking her around the lake, and then kind of taking her back home. So next we go to the car to see if we can play the sound and see if we can find the AirTag and see if there's actually one in the car. So we played the sound, and instantly you could hear the faint dinging of an AirTag. So we searched and searched and searched, looked all over, and we couldn't find it. We kind of pinpointed it to underneath the driver's seat, but we couldn't find it. No matter what we did, we looked and looked and looked, and we couldn't find it. So a few days pass, and we just we don't really forget about it. It's still in the back of our head, but we're not putting as much emphasis on it anymore. So on January the 9th, I had to get up early that morning to take my wife's daughter to the airport again. And as I'm coming back early that morning, I get the notification too. And it's the same thing here. Tracking me, play the sound, whatever it is you need to do. And I looked again, and I could not find it. No matter what I did, I couldn't find it. So finally, on January the 13th, it was a day we had this big Arctic blast. It was turning windy and cold outside. I actually took some time and went outside and took my iPhone and really got deep down in there and got to looking. And I finally got the phone to tell me kind of the proximity to where the AirTag was. And it said at this point in time, less than a foot. And I kept looking around, and finally it said here. So I kept looking, and underneath the seat, I find this. Whoever put this AirTag, and keep in mind, we don't own an AirTag. We've had this car for a while now, never any notifications, did not want it to be found. They put it underneath the seat, underneath the floorboard. It was really, really difficult to find. But finally, I took the seat out, I took the floorboard off, and by the mercy of God, I was able to get down in there and get the AirTag. And there it is. There's my AirTag, or the AirTag. So my wife calls up Apple, and we're not expecting Apple to give us any information, but we did want to know what we should do as far as turning the AirTag into law enforcement. And Apple was first of all, she talked to some guy probably from the Middle East. His name was Akeem. Barely spoke any English. Was very, very rude, and said, "We're not giving you any information, and Apple is not going to give law enforcement any information unless a crime has been committed." Well, we finally did contact the law enforcement, and apparently this is a problem. These AirTags are a problem, and Apple knows about it. People are using these to track cars to steal, and traffickers are also putting this on cars to keep up with and track and follow potential victims. The local police department now has this in their possession, and they're trying to find out any information that they can. But so far, nothing. So needless to say, my wife is really nervous. I'm nervous. We're all nervous. Because now these people know where we live. You don't think it's going to happen to you. You think it happens to anybody else. But then one day you wake up and it does happen to you. And it can happen to anybody. Be vigilant. And if you happen to get a notification that an AirTag is tracking you and you don't own it, immediately go to the police. Don't go home. Immediately go to the police. If I get any more information on this, I'll let you all know. But I did want y'all to know that these AirTags are being used not only for good things to help track stuff and find that stuff, but they're being used also by crooks and the bad guys, criminals. Modern technology is a blessing and a curse.